Okay, next subject, one of your favourites, Lynn. Food and diet. And what's interesting is that a study's just been carried out amongst older women, postmenopausal, as the doctors like to call them, and they've discovered that the paleo diet is the best for getting the weight off, but more importantly, keeping it off. They did it's a small study, to be fair, just 70 women, half of whom were given the paleo. And I know, Lynn, you're going to explain the paleo in great detail in a minute for those who aren't entirely sure. And others who were put on what's called the Nordic Nutrition Recommendations diet, because that's where they were. And that was just eating sensibly, but still included refined sugars and all the rest in that. But it's what doctors would call a balanced diet, which again is a long, long story on its own, but we won't go into that. So anyway, so the women on the paleo lost on average 20 pounds or 9 kilos if you're European, and the women on the Nordic diet lost about 13 pounds or 6 kilos. But the real point was that 2 years on, the women who'd been on the paleo diet still had the weight off. They didn't put it back on. And so it was a case of eat what you like as long as it's within the constrictions of paleo. So tell us a bit more about paleo and other diets, Lynn.
Okay, well, the paleo diet turns received wisdom on its head, essentially. Increasingly, forward-thinking nutritionists and integrative specialists in America and in other parts of the world recognize that doctors had it completely wrong when they were suggesting diets, particularly the low-fat diet. The belief was always that fat was a big culprit. So cut out fat and have lots of carbs, and any kind of carbs would do. What they're discovering is that people can't really process a lot of the kinds of modern foods we've eaten. And the paleo diet is supposed to bring us back to what our ancestors ate. And that essentially is meats of all sorts, fish of all sorts, fats, all the healthy fats. And that includes all the things that were no-no before, goose fat, beef fat, lard, butter. There isn't a bad fat out there unless it's a trans fat, a fake fat, essentially. So all of the original fats, and including omega-3 fats like fish oils, are really good for you in any kind of quantity. They're good for your brain. Vegetables, fruits. It usually cuts out dairy, although not always. And it usually cuts out grains of all sorts, because grains and sometimes pulses have a thing called lectins in them, which are hard to digest. So all of them, and of course it cuts out refined sugar of any sort. So with this kind of diet, your body isn't burning sugar anymore. It's in the main moving toward burning fat. The more strict you are on the diet, the more you are burning fat. But the point is that the body likes that. It stops cravings, it stops hypoglycemia, that up and down thing with your metabolism. And also, even athletes can run for far longer distances when they're burning fat compared to when they're burning sugar. So the real interesting thing about paleo is, yes, you lose weight, you regularize your weight, but it also is being seen to be a wonderful curative for a number of illnesses, all of those inflammatory illnesses like diabetes and arthritis, et cetera, which are all based on having too much sugar in the body. So once you get rid of things like grains and sugars and refined foods, which all convert into sugar anyway, your body starts working the way it was supposed to work. And a lot of those, as I say, degenerative diseases regularize. They're using paleo now for Alzheimer's. They're using a very strict form of paleo, a ketogenic diet, for cancer. But more and more people are looking toward that as the way to shift autoimmune diseases, just about any kind of diseases. So of course it would stand to reason that you're going to go back to your ideal weight.
And of course, a little confession I think you need to make, that Lynn is on the paleo diet.
Yes.
Lynne is a fully signed up Paleolithic woman. She lives in a cave. I, however, live in a semi-detached cave with an adjoining caravan where I go to occasionally have some pasta and some wheat once in a while. So I'm half-time paleo, but Lynne is a fully signed up paleologist.
I am a fully signed up paleologist, and I have another thing to say, which is I now weigh the same that I did when I was 25.
Yeah. And you're now 27.
This is it.